you! Don't watch that! Watch this!
Okay, hyperfans, so the next two I'm reviewing are probably the most disappointing pair in the set. X-Graver and kind of Neckbreaker. However, here they have gone through the absolute height of laziness and actually given us the same robot twice. First of all, I did think that Sir Toys had made a packing error, but when I went back and checked, this version does actually come with a duplicated robot. It's not 100% duplicated, and if I just show you the underside, and just lift this flap out of the way, you can see that they do actually have different head sculpts. They also have slightly different paint and slightly different chest sculpts, but the main thing that actually differentiates them as being two different robots is their alt modes. So here we have a bulldozer because it's got a bulldozer on the front, whereas X-Graver comes with his hook. Now this again is a very simplified version. You have articulation obviously at the turn, the bucket lifts and falls, and the bucket itself turns. No movement here, no movement there. Very, very simplified. If you have a look on the internet, there are a few people who are selling the arm from the original TFC X-Graver, and that's probably actually going to fit in that hole pretty well. That's really going to go a very long way to upgrading the bot. The simplification does mean that it's quite difficult to actually have stuff on the robot mode. It won't really curl round over the shoulder. It does make him very, actually, just to annoy me during filming, that seems to be balancing pretty well. What I can't find, however, is a good place to store the backhoe sections. All the holes in the arms don't really hold the piece. So they kind of get stuck off to one side. Articulation wise on this guy, again it's a little bit dodgy. The head is on a ball joint, and quite decent motion actually. The shoulders are a ball joint. That's a cap over a ball joint that just reminds me so much of Gundam model kits. There's a little bit of in and out below the shoulder for transformation, and that's it for the arm. He does have a waist swivel. He does have a transformation joint there that lets him bend back a little bit. Hips are on the ball joint, come up nice and wide, so you can do some quite high kicks, although you're never going to get him to balance that way. He has a bend at the knee and a little bit of tilt at the toe, mainly for transformation. Let's talk a little bit about the scale of these figures. Now, I put a call out on Twitter about half an hour after I got these, asking for anyone who had the official TFC release to take a photo with a couple of comparison figures so that I could see what the height was like. It came back and it looks as though these guys are a little bit taller than the official release. So they are not an identical copy. Well, obviously they're very simplified. There he is next to Starscream. And if I just go for one of the slightly taller deluxes, there is Sideswipe. He's still a good head taller than these two. So I guess he's about the size of a small Voyager. I'd love to know if these are identically sized to the TFC ones, mainly to see whether or not we can get hold of refro labels to actually help liven them up a little bit. I'm a little bit upset that they didn't do a decent copy of Bone Crusher. Apparently the version 2 of this that is up on Sir Toys at the moment does have 6 different molds. If you're going to duplicate anything, I guess these are just about forgivable. Transformation is still very neat on them. I mean, the arms just sort of collapse in on themselves. And tap into the sides very firmly if you can get them to line up. The back bends all the way down, claps the feet, and they tap in as well. And even though there's nowhere to store it really in... Oh, I've missed a step. Keep the chest folded down. So even though there's nowhere to really store it in robot mode, the vehicle mode actually needs the combiner fists to fill in that gap at the back. Basically, you take the giant fist, squeeze it in over the head, leaving this T connector at the top, and fold this top plate down, and that just holds everything into place. Then just squash the fist over the head, and that's the back all pretty much neatened up. And then you can decide what accessories you're going to put on it to make it into what vehicle. Again, it's very easy to go fraud. If I just open that hand up, pop that back open. Quite impressed with actually how firmly this one holds together. There, just popping the fist out of that. The legs fold down. That turns all the way round. I'd like that to be able to sort of curl in a little bit further, but as they are. Combiner port gets shown. And the legs and hips are on a double joint, so that folds down, and then that doubles back on itself to make the lower arm. And then as long as you've got that around the right way, again, it's one of these T-shaped connectors. It just goes between those two holes and squeezes in. Now, the arm has bend at the elbow, the hand opens and closes, and the thumb is on a ball joint. The hands are actually hollow, which I would complain about, except for the fact that it really is necessary to cover up the head. One problem that we do have is that on Bone Crusher there's nowhere to actually store those in limb mode. I'd have assumed that they'd have put holes on the side there so that you could actually have that bent up over the top. But no, so he's kind of stuck with, again, trying to find somewhere to desperately plug those in. I'm not going to show you the transformation on the other one because it's exactly the same. If you want to see this go onto the main body, press that. If you want to see the last two individual bots, press